Hello, welcome to Working Dragon Mystic, where we discuss real metaphysical and occult knowledge so that you can manifest real and tangible results in your own life. This week, we're going to continue our series on the Goetia with the 55th spirit of the Goetia, Orobas. All right, so let's get into this. Now, as we usually do this, we just follow a nice little format flow through here. If you are watching live from the community, the thumbnail here actually has the sigil in it. If you do need the sigil, request and I will send it to you or post it below. But if you're watching on YouTube, when we get to the sigil section, I will make sure it is on the screen so you can see it. No issues there. All right. So I see I got more people from the community joining me live. If you are interested in joining us live, check us out at the workingdragonmystic.com community. All right. Now let's get in here. We start with appearances. Appearance, appearing at first like a horse, but after the command of the practitioner, he putteth on the image of a man. Honestly, this is one that I do actually see quite a bit. When I work with this entity, he does usually, occasionally appear as a horse. Not always, but does show up as a horse. Now, when it says horse, we're not talking horse humanoid. We're talking a actual horse, just horse. And upon command, it does take the appearance of a man. From there, he gets very creative. It's when I work with him, usually it's different every freaking time. There was a period of like a month when I was working with him for an extended project. The appearance did actually stay. That was the rarity, though. Normally, it's a different appearance every time. So mileage will vary on that one for sure. Most common associations with this entity, rank, of course, this entity, Corvus is a prince. Metal most often associated with this spirit is tin. Planet most often associated is Jupiter. Color most often associated is blue. And element most often associated is water, right? So there we go. And again, I want to remind everybody we do have an online community. So if you're interested in checking us out there, it's absolutely free. You can join us in any of these topics for free just by being a member of the community. Ask lots of questions, share research and all that. And we do have a supporter section as well. Supporters get access to workshops that we do. They get access to the online school for free. So they get access to all the courses. They get access to unique path workings. And I'll be honest, coming up in the next year, we got some really cool path workings coming. So consider supporting us over there. And you can find everything at workingdragonmystic.com. All right. All right. That aside, though, the big thing everyone is interested in is if you're going to work with this spirit, why would you? And I'll be honest, this spirit has a unique thing about it that is mentioned in the Goetia. There's something unique here that you don't see listed for a lot of other entities across the board. It's really kind of neat. I also think that that thing is also why we don't hear as many people talk about this entity. Okay? So, original purpose stated, divinations, gives dignities and favors of both friends and enemies, and giveth true answers of divinity and creation of the world. He is very faithful unto the mage and will suffer him to be will not suffer him to be tempted of any spirit. Okay. Now, normally we don't focus too much on the poetics of the originals, but obviously we're talking about divinations. We're talking about good favors. You're talking about answers concerning divinity or possible creations. But the one that really gets me is faithful unto the mage and will not suffer him to be tempted of any spirit. Think about that. Here you have an entity that you can work with that not only does it directly say from the text that they are faithful and true to you, but they will deliberately see to it that you are not tempted by any spirit. This runs counter to all the anti-summoning, anti-magical, concepts that you hear when you're talking about practicing magic or the Goetia. It also runs completely counter to referring to these entities as demons. because they're literally quite stating that this entity will see to it. Basically, all the scary things of temptation and being led astray is off the board if you work with the spirit. And I can't remember another entity that directly states that in any of their documentation. There may be some, I can't think of one, but this one has always stood out because of that. And I wanted to make a point of pointing that out here today. Okay. Now, the original purpose and poetics aside, what about modern day? Outside that whole complete lack of tempting of spirits thing, which to be honest, I've never had any issues working with entities. So there's that. But for those who are ever worried, oh yeah, you got a ally here in Orobas. All right. So modern day concepts to working with the spirit in modern day ideals. Okay, let's get into these bullet points here. Boost fame. Okay, that's a big one here. Now, when we say boost fame, this is fame known for positive things one does without increasing one's notoriety. That's actually kind of an important distinction we need to know. A lot of people use fame and notoriety interchangeably. They're not. Fame is actually positive. Notoriety usually is for things you've done that's negative. So, like if you're screwing around, breaking the law, and doing stuff like that, that would be more notoriety, kind of like almost you become infamous, if you would. So, it boosts fame without boosting the negative sides of, without being no negative, if you wanted to say it that way. Now, straight up, this will not make you famous without you doing your part and doing work in the world to be famous for. Okay. You can't just work with this entity and say, hey, boost my fame, make everybody like it. Can't do that. It ain't going to happen. Give it up. So if you're one of the thousands of people who keep messaging me about music careers, yes, this entity could help you boost your fame in your music career, but you've still got to be making the music. You got to be getting the music out there for it to do it. So whatever you're doing in life, whatever it is you're working to be famous for, you have to do the work. You have to get it into the hands of the people to get it out there and get people to see it so that you can. But they will boost that fame as that process takes place, accelerating that growth. Okay. Now, for those of us who don't necessarily want to be famous, but we want to be successful, absolutely works great at helping you get a promotion. I don't care what kind of promotion. I've seen people use this in video games to get promotions. I don't really know why you would. I've never put that much focus on a video game, but I've seen people do it. I've seen people use this promotions at work. I've seen this promotions at organizations or groups they work with. It's nonprofit, but they're not being paid, but they wanted to move up the ladder. So they, in their minds, they felt they could do more good higher up. I've seen this work across the board. So if a promotion is in the cards for whatever you're doing, this entity can help you get a promotion there in. Okay. Now, dude, take note that the fame, growth, and the promotion are separate. Okay. The two won't go hand in hand. You need to do two workings if you wanted both. Help you be recognized for your true abilities and be rewarded fairly for them is another thing that this entity is great for. I love this one personally because this guarantees that you're being rewarded fairly for your abilities. The downside is if you're stuck on your ego, if your ego's overinflated of your worth, this one's not going to help because it's not what you feel you're worth. It's what your true abilities are fairly worth. And that can sometimes burn people a little bit if they let their egos get in front of them. But then again, what in magic does the ego not complicate, right? So I do kind of like that one personally. And finally, aid in gaining the admiration of a superior without them feeling threatened. Okay. So basically, you will gain the admiration, respect, and attention of a superior. Now, you'll notice this says without them being threatened. There are a lot of people in life. I've seen it myself in my personal life. I've seen it in friends' lives that when you're doing a really good job and you're really shining in whatever you do, those who outrank you in some way may actually be threatened by your progress. And they may try to hold you down, keep you down, not let you progress, not give you the promotions, those kind of concepts. we've all heard the stories. Some of the stories are BS, and someone's egos just, they just think people's not to get them. Sometimes it's genuinely true. So this is a way to gain the respect and admiration of a superior without your work and your success and everything threatening them in any way that's going to hinder you. Okay. I want to be specific there. All right. And of course, the last thing we got to get up here on the board before we get to the community questions is the sigil. I'll make sure that's up here. So if you're on YouTube, it'll be in front of my face up here on the screen. All right. One quick thing before I do get to the viewers' questions, my personal experiences with this one. I've worked with this one in a lot of different areas and ways, and I've talked with people who's worked with. The one I have most often, in all honesty, worked with is being recognized for your true abilities. That's really it. I've never really worked with this entity for promotions, and I'll be honest, I don't really care for admiration or fame. So those are things I've not really personally worked with. That being said, I do know a lot of people who have, like I said, for the promotion concepts. For the true abilities thing, I have seen that actually get people, they didn't lose pay for it, but it did make their bosses or whatnot realize that they might have been overly compensated for the little work they were doing. Actually, they got caught skating by because of it. So they were it brought to attention how little they were doing, and actually wanted them to start doing more to be fairly compensated without lowering their pay. So that one can backfire a little, which I've seen a few times. It's been interesting. As for the admiration of superior, I know a lot of clients I've worked with and a lot of friends who have used this one. And it's worked pretty good. It's worked pretty well. Now, this does not force them to like you. This does not force them to befriend you. This does not force them to admire you. It aids in drawing their attention to what you're doing and showing you in a light that they can admire. But you still have to be doing the work. You still have to maintain the work. And once you have their attention and they take notice and be like, hey, this person's got some get up and go. This guy could be the future. You got to keep doing it. You can't just suddenly get lazy, sit down in a chair and eat Cheetos and expect them to continue that. Again, this is one where they're going to be like, this is a go-getter. And then, oh, wait, no, they had one good week. Now they're lazy as shit, right? You have to be aware of that. This is not a wish-granting entity by no means, but can definitely help in a lot of ways. And I found this one personally to be quite effective the times I've worked with it. And the people I've spoke to have found it very, very useful as well. All right. So that's it. That is the 55th spirit of the Goetia, Orobas. And I am Drake, and this has been Working Dragon Mystic. Consider joining us at our online community. Again, you can find that at workingdragonmystic.com. And you can join in all the live chats, the live topics, the after topic chats. And every Friday, we do a supporter only live chat where we get into some really, really cool discussions about anything and everything the community has. And those go down rabbit holes that we just can't get into on YouTube or Rumble. All right. So till next time, everybody, I'm Drake. This has been Working Dragon Mystic. Take care. Bye-bye.